Is it more? I think you've raised a very important issue.
Okay.
To be honest, one of the communicators that I really admire is Eden Mwati.
Oh, James.
James.
He's now with SIC.
Yeah.
The former host of...
if I lie, just tell me.
Yeah. The morning, the Gold Morning.
He was with Radio Gold.
Yes, the Gold Morning. In fact, he was at some point was spokesperson for Professor Jane, yes.
Never gets angry. Cool, level-headed, analytical, and so on. I mean, you can't get better than Ejeni, and so on. James. So I really admire him because of it. And I'm wondering why, at this time, when his party has extreme difficulties with communication, and NDC today has a serious communication problem, he's sitting in SIC. And that's some deployment that I would never understand. You understand? And he's not the only one. Yeah, But you see, my brother, in this business, especially those who act as spokespersons, when a spokesperson speaks, it is the principal who is speaking.
True. Absolutely. That's why you're the spokesperson.
If you're a spokesperson, when you speak, it's the principal who is speaking.
Absolutely.
So, to a very large extent, the spokesperson must endeavor, must try, must make the effort to reason and sound like the person you speak for. When there's a gulf between the spokesperson and the personality that the spokesperson speaks for, that's a huge problem.
Yeah.
You understand? And if you look around the political space now, let me be careful. Yeah, but if you look around the political space now, you see this mismatch all the time. Mismatch all the time. And for me, it's a huge problem.
But obviously, why do I keep somebody who doesn't exemplify my values?
Well, but that is for the political leadership to decide. It's for the political class to decide.
If today Richard Agyagba is his style of communication is at odds with what the NPP wants the public to perceive them.
It's for the NPP to decide.
Why would they keep him?
Yeah, but that is for the NPP to decide. It's not for me to decide. You understand? So this business of spokesperson is a very important business. In fact, a spokesperson, to a very large extent, carries the same authority as the person they speak for. Because when the spokesperson speaks, it's the person who is speaking.
Literally.
You understand? And that is why they are very high up. In many jurisdictions, spokespersons attend cabinet meetings.
Yes.
They are involved in decision-making processes and so on.
Yes.
So that they have enough information and understanding of the information to be able to reflect whoever they speak for.
Sure.
But here, it's like the ministries, oh my goodness, I should be careful not to cross up. In some areas, they are just, and again, I should be careful again, because
ultimately you have to be careful.
Moro, there's a misunderstanding of the role of PR in Ghana.
Really?
Yes, complete misunderstanding of the role of PR. I was in PR for a long time.
Yeah, I know.
You understand? Even to the extent that eventually I had to work with the Ministry of Information and so on.
Yeah.
Some bosses, including some ministers and so on, and this is not now, the understanding of a PR person is an errand person.
Yeah.
So the PR person, if it's a woman, unfortunately, is sent to go to market to go and do shopping. Carry the bag of the minister and so on. That's not the role of the PR person. But this is the misunderstanding of PR, which we've carried to this level and so on. Again, in a political space like this, where there's a sense of combat, and there's a strong sense of combat today, okay, people think that the more outrageous you are, the more effective you are. It is not true.
Yeah, champion.
I mean, there's no truth in
Champion
it at all.
communicator.
Yeah.
Yes.
You don't have to be outrageous. Make your point. And one of the things, too, that is important in communications, as far as I'm concerned, is the ability to recognize your mistakes when they are made. To retract your mistakes, and where necessary, to apologize. It's so very important in communication. Look, we are all human. Tomorrow, you as human as Richard, and I am human, and so on. We all have our weaknesses. You can't know everything. You can't be right all the time. So when you make the mistake, be humble enough to admit that you've made a mistake and to pull back. It adds some weight to what you say, and so anyway, this is not a communications class.
But Richard, let me ask you this, Richard. I want us to wrap up on this matter and move to the more substantive issues on as far as what the papers are reporting are concerned or is concerned. But is there a difficulty really? Because you see, you have a situation where I raised this issue before, talking about those who are listening, the consumers of the information you're putting out. So you have it, and I don't have any empirical evidence to show this, empirical data, but it appears that majority of the ordinary party people tend to like people who are very combative and very aggressive, and sometimes even a bit disrespectful in the way they communicate. I may be wrong, but that's the kind of impression I get. And so the communicators feel emboldened when they speak in that manner. I mean, if social media was sufficient empirical data, you can tell when you go on social media, the number of people who would commend people because they spoke in a certain way, even to say, and then you hear both the NPP and these, you hear, Charlie, boot for boots, I come at you, you talk one, I talk 10. I mean, where is the relevance of differentiation? Because you see, if a political party, if you have two political parties who have the same, you can call it idiosyncrasies, what then are you pitching to the electorate who are your buyers? What differentiates you? What differentiates A from B? So so back to the question I'm asking, is there a real difficulty in trying to rein communicators in and to tell them that speak in a certain way? But at the same time, the party was saying that you are too slow. If you're going to be this slow, you can't get power. African politics, you have to do it hard, do it the hard way. You have to go after, But at the same time, like, no, there are people who despise this type of communication. Let's teach the public that we're different.
Look,
How do you manage this?
Because I have so much which I will share with you. And if Richard finishes.
Okay. Well, I mean, Moro, you're so right in diagnosing the issue relative to the basis.
Yeah.
Right. The Americans call it the red meat. So these are things that you give to your base, and it keeps them glued.
You're very happy.
Yeah. So, but then there's a tendency you can go overboard, and the basis for the two political parties are given, right? There are things you do to sustain their continuous support base. A lot of them is sociological, that they are members of the party. It hasn't changed. A lot of them is family, education upbringing. So the attachment is almost permanent. You can say that there is nothing you can do to clip them off the party. They are just there, and so. Such people, it's a matter of strategy to understand how you straddle between them and the deciding electorate in the middle, who then would consume and then be able to judge based on what the delivery is that the party is putting, ideas, comportment, and the things of that nature. So it's a defined act of straddling between the party base, which is almost permanent. But of course, you have to nurture them in certain different ways. But of course, some of these communications, some of them find it to be evidence of defense. And our Constitution talks about defend and promote. Yeah. So there's strong emphasis on defending the party because there's strong attachment to the party. People have given life services to the party. They have parents before them. And so that attachment to the party is strong, both NDC and NPP, but more so NPP because it's a historical party. So the attachment is there. And so sometimes when they see a communicator or a representative of the party not being forceful in defense. They come after you. Yes, in defense of the party's value. Justifiably, they feel concerned that is this person really thoroughbred? Is it really in defense of the cause? So that comes to play. But it's a question of continuous education. We had some system for internal communication I think we need to go back to that, intensify through our trainings to get people to understand that it is our party. We believe in the values of the party. We want to promote the party, we want the party to succeed, but we can't do it all by ourselves. We need to open the barn, have more people to come in so we can drive an agenda for Ghana. I think that continuous education in-house will get people to understand. Once you are factual and you're trying all your best to push the party's interest, or if you were in government's interest, I think that it would come together at some time. But politics everywhere, you have the base. They are what they feed on is quite different from what the general electorate feed on. So it's an act of struggling.
You know, even when it comes to deployment.
No, I beg you. You know, this business of politics deals with all aspects of life.
Yeah.
At a certain level, it's an intellectual exercise.
Yes.
At a certain level, it's a purely technical exercise and so on.
Yeah.
And you take any political party, even including the so-called small parties, there are thousands of people in the party.
Yeah.
And usually, there is competition for recognition.
Yes.
And so on. So you're talking about economic policy. There are so many people in the party who cannot speak to economic policy. They think that is the responsibility of the well-educated and so on. You understand? So how do they get noticed? By slapping somebody.
True.
Okay? He needs to be noticed. And being noticed comes with all kinds of rewards and so on. You know. And I've seen at a political rally somebody slapping somebody, giving him a dirty slap. And I go to the person and say, why did you do that? And the explanation is clear. You know, it's attention seeking. And so that is there. But you see, the parties are also beginning to operate in a way which look like a Hitlerite operation.
What does that mean?
Hitlerite operation.
Yes.
I
I know
it's
about
obvious.
Hitler, but
yes, it's obvious.
yes. Further and better.
You know,
particularly.
Goebbels and so on.
Oh,
you
okay.
know all of that. You see, our parties have communication teams. One, they select, most of them select who speaks on panels like this. So if you come on a panel like this and the selectors are not happy with you, you're not coming back again.
Fact.
And people want to come.
That's true.
Okay. So they will do things to please the selectors.
Yes.
And the selectors are usually sitting at the back,
Yes.
watching you and seeing whether you punched the enemy well enough or you didn't punch the
Yes.
enemy well enough. You know, an enemy,
Yes.
you know, is the description.
Yes.
So that's a problem. Secondly, you know, on many of the shows, we were not allowed to carry our phones because phones can be distracting.
Yes.
Have you noticed that the political party representatives always carry their phones on the show?
Yes. Yes.
What do you think they are doing?
They take
Because
Hitler.
there's a team watching the show.
Yes.
You understand? There's a team watching the show
Yes.
and feeding information to them
Yes.
as to what to say and how to react.
Exactly.
So they need their phones all the time.
Yes.
So you innocently come and sit on Good Morning Ghana platform thinking that you're going to have a healthy interaction, discussion of a topic and so on. And you actually, an army is fighting you.
Yes.
A complete whole army is fighting you. There are people sitting in a room, listening to the discussion, texting messages and sending notes and so on to the guy you are discussing with on how to floor you. I think this to some extent is an abuse. You understand? I think to some extent it's an abuse.
Including telling them that you are being too nice to Uncle Kwesi.
Oh,
You are
there's a
being
friend
too,
of
you are being too
mine.
nice to Uncle Kwesi.
Yeah,
punch
there's-
him, punch him.
Yeah, there's a friend of mine who actually, I think you were there when he said it,
Yes.
who actually had a problem. Because he smiled with me on the platform. And the man said, but how can you be smiling with him? I think, Moro, you were there when he said it. You know.
Say, Charlie,
They
you
were
are
so,
coming after me,
they
you
were
are
so
being nice.
angry with him because he was smiling with me. I mean, you shouldn't smile with him.
But such a you can it's not institutionalized that way.
No, but no, when the airwaves were liberalized, I used to do live programs. I used to do a live program on Vibe FM.
Vibe
Yeah.
FM, yes.
And I like to just open the phone lines for people to just express themselves.
Yes.
After a couple of weeks, I realized that it was the same people who were calling. So I asked myself, what am I doing here? This is not public opinion. This is engineered. This is put together. You understand? It's an army. Two armies are fighting. You know. The problem is that these people are so well equipped. Some of them have 5 phones.
Wow.
Richard, if I like tell me.
Yeah. Oh, back in the day.
Some of them have 5 phones, 5 different numbers.
Yes.
There's an army which is ringing the radio station, trying to capture the line and so on. So if you're an individual, you would never get through. It would be magical for an individual to get through. You understand?
What against million?
And what is worse, some of the anchors
Yes.
are in league with these
Yes. That's
you know.
true.
So the anchors give them a way of reaching them. So public opinion really is buried. What we are hearing is not public opinion.
Yeah.
This is completely skewed.
Yeah.
It's 2 armies, maybe 3 armies, you know, tearing at each other. And we have become victims.
Yeah.
I don't think that, look, those who struggle to open up the airwaves and so on, this is what they intended. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, I was very close to Dr. Charles Lekubrobi when he started the Radio Eye fight and so on. Look, the ambitions were honorable.
Yeah.
It was not to silence people, to take control, you know, using resource and so on. But that is what it has become. That is what it has become.
Yeah.
Take any radio station and listen for a week and come and tell me whether what I'm saying is wrong or true. Same voices all the time.
Yeah.
Okay? Same voices all the time. Because they have the means, you know, to do it. Ordinary people don't have the means to do it.
Yeah.
And I think that is becoming problematic. But anyway, that is what our leaders want to do. What can we do about it?
Uncle,
What we can do about it is to just soldier on and try as much as we can. And it's not difficult.
Yeah.
It's not easy. I mean, being independent in this country comes with so much risk.
Yeah.
It's not easy to be independent in this country. But
I think that the media houses also have a responsibility,
Right.
In guiding that enterprise of allowing public opinion to filter through. But I just hope that Kwesi.
there was a strong attempt to remove me from this platform. I'm sure you know.
I don't know.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
But that must be addressed to Moro and his company. They have the power to do that.
Before Moro came on the show, normally the producers would call NDC for their rep and call NPP for their rep and so on. And they didn't know
Which category
how
you belonged.
to fit me. You know, so this NPP communicators and their machinery insisted that I should be treated as an NDC communicator.
Yes. Yes.
Of course, NDC knows that I don't communicate for them. They don't tell me what to say.
Yes.
They don't put me on the platform. So in the
You don't
end,
attend communications meetings.
I don't attend communications meetings and so on. So in the end, I was left hanging there, and it took Randy Abbey to say that look, this is a special category, and we'll maintain that category.
Yeah.
That's why I'm still on this show.
Yeah.
So whatever effort it is was not powerful enough.
The same problem too. At some point, the NDC was wondering who he was representing, because he would also say that he's not speaking for the MPP. You know, it was a challenge.
But I think for what it's worth, Kwesi
and even more recently, Colado Motri, you know, we bring him on Good Morning. Yes, there are some people who do not agree with the decision, but that's fine.
Yeah.
But he announces himself as an NPP
No,
communicator.
he will tell you he'll say
a
host
media
of
person.
Good Evening Ghana and also former board chair of Ghana.
Oh, then he has changed again. Because I've heard him actually
He's a
insisting
spokesperson.
that he communicates for NPP.
No, but he has to be sanctioned by Richard for that to happen. There's a structure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But I mean, to me, the only difficulty with Kwesi's situation and maybe Kokubako's situation is only to the extent that you're expecting an NDC person. So the way I will engage an NDC person is not how I'll engage
That is
Kwesi.
true.
So that probably will be the dynamics, but not necessarily to get him off the show because he's disturbing or creating any problem.
That's true.
But for me, for what it's worth, having him or Uncle Kubako on the show is opportunity to benefit from the balance of experience they have. I don't think that's any constraint. I can engage him and go as hard as I can, and that will only enrich the conversation, right? So I don't think that there's any deficit there. But I only hope that LPC was not giving you any bad ideas by talking about our phone so much that you will say, don't bring the phone.
Oh, do you need the phone?
Of persons who he's been polling. The two of them are in there. In fact,
that is true.
Julius Debra recently didn't even feature, but recently he's featured in that poll. So I'm just saying, just to add some.
Moro, don't stress yourself.
Okay, all right. So there's something.
I'm saying that it could be.
It could be.
But it is not necessarily what it is.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying.
Right.
Okay. So that's the point that I made.
Okay.
But I'm saying that the next point I'm going to make is to some extent speculative, but I think it still has to be made. Can you imagine a situation where, without a nod from the president himself, the executive secretary can issue such a statement or alter such an article?
Why not? He can.
The executive secretary.
It's not the first time Kalisu is writing an article.
No. I know it's not the first time. The executive secretary to the president,
yes,
on his own, can write an article in which he calls on appointees, which include the chief of staff, which include ministers, and so on, to quit if they are nurturing such an ambition. Think about it.
Because it's possible.
No, it's not.
That possibility will be a very strange possibility.
Why?
Because he works under the chief of staff, actually, literally.
Listen.
So he can't be calling his boss to that kind of
and it's only a suspicion, I suspect that when you read this article, you must see President Mahama somewhere lurking in the shadows of the article. You understand? And I believe that fully. So those who read this article and think that it's just Callistus on a bench and so on, they will get many things wrong. They should read this article as concerns being expressed through Dr. Callistus Mahama, and they should take it seriously. Because it seems to me that this is the first shot, and that other shots would follow. That's my understanding of what has happened. In any case, Callistus writes very, very well. He's a very effective writer. I recall when there was the issue about the president's use of his brother's jet came out. Callistus wrote an explainer. I'm sure you read it.
Yes.
His choice of language was excellent. His reasoning was... So he writes very well. He's a very effective writer. And if you read this article, it is clear that every word was deliberately chosen and put there. This is a work of art. I mean, clearly, I've read it. I read it only this morning, and it's a work of art, deliberately done. My brother, I agree with Callistus 100%. If it was possible to agree with him more than 100%, I will.
Please, let's stay at 100.
Listen, what is happening within the government machinery, to a very large extent, is even an insult to the people of Ghana. What is happening? We have elected a government 4-year term. Just as we entered the second, even before we entered the second term, people spring from this government machinery who have no mandate from the electorate and so on, and are focusing attention on their dreams of becoming president and so on. And Callistus makes the point. You see, let's take anybody in government. Let's say that there are 3 ministers who all want to be president. What do you think will happen in practice, in real practice? Everybody's practice as a minister will be skewed towards giving them advantages. And that can very easily lead to the emergence of factions in government.
Sure.
Today, you talk to people in the NDC and in government, and I'm not lying, you know it. The person either belongs to A faction or B faction or C faction and so on. It makes it impossible to work together as a team. it makes it impossible to focus on the prime responsibility of government. And I think it's a danger to the NDC itself. If this should continue, it would, to a very large extent, minimize the possibility of the NDC doing well in the next elections. The factionalism which is emerging is not in the interest of the NDC. There's no focus. And I'll tell you, I won't give you the details, but I'll tell you, I've spoken to people in the government machinery who think that they are not being adequately funded to achieve a national objective. And their suspicion is that they are not being adequately funded because those in charge of funding don't see them as part of their faction.
Yes.
I'm sure you've heard it.
No, you're absolutely right.
You understand?
Yes.
How do you run government like this? Crazy. How do you run government like this? You can't run government like this and succeed. So everything these reckless appointees do will be seen in the light of the effort to promote themselves so they can become presidents in future. That's a big problem. And really, I want to see this as the first shot from President Mahama himself. I want to see this as the first shot. But this first shot has delayed in coming. It should have come much, much earlier. By now, some people should have been sacked.
Oh.
Yes.
But how do you appoint somebody and sack the person?
If you appoint people who are not focusing on your research agenda
Yes.
and are focusing on their personal, individual ambition, some of which is hollow, there's no reason why some people should be seeing themselves as president. Some of the news. I'm sitting back. They say, this guy too wants to be president. How? You understand? It has no merit. And they are wasting the nation's time. They are wasting the president's opportunity, wasting everything on a reckless and useless ambition. He should have sacked them long ago. What is he waiting for? Sack them. Please, sack them. They are not helping in any way. They are not helping the country. They are not helping the president. They are not even helping themselves. Sack them, please. It's time for a major reshuffle in government. The dead wood should be put aside. Those who cannot focus on the national agenda have no business being in government. Those who are beginning to see themselves as emperors and so on. I mean, tomorrow, look, there are 35, 36 million Ghanaians. Anybody who stands in front of the mirror in his bedroom and comes to the conclusion that he is the best gift of God to Ghana is loony. Needs to have his brain examined. How do leaders emerge? Leaders do not emerge through self-proclamation. Leaders emerge through self-proclamation.
Not at all.
They don't. And what you're having is self-proclamation. People who can't string two sentences together. People who struggle to string two sentences together are seeing themselves as presidents of the Republic. Kwame Nkrumah's Ghana. What is this? It's so shameful, it's so embarrassing. And I agree 100% with Callistus. And I would suggest very strongly to the president that he should take this thing seriously if he's not the man who instigated it in the first place. And deal with it. Look, you have a president, you have a vice president. The president, I have insisted, cannot go beyond one term now. The Constitution says so. I would not support the president violating the Constitution or trying to amend the Constitution as other despots have done in Africa. So by 2028, President Mahama should give way. In the natural scheme of things, in terms of authority and so on, who is next? It doesn't mean that the person who is next in line today necessarily has to become the successor. It doesn't mean that. But there's a certain hierarchy that we are working with now. Now, if you are third in this hierarchy, or fifth in this hierarchy, or sixth in this hierarchy, and you start declaring your intention to succeed President Mahama, how do you deal with this structure? Think about it. How do you deal with this structure? So you're a minister, and you have ambitions of if ever the vice president should offer herself, you have ambitions of contesting her and defeating her. How do you work with her? They are human beings, so these are not machines, these are human beings. How do you work with her? So they are creating unnecessary problems for the president, they are creating unnecessary problems for Ghana, they are creating unnecessary problems for themselves. They should be sacked.
You recall, so I see, so this is John Mohammed's second term, Richard. And similar things happened in Nana Addo's second term as well. That's where people then began to come out to say that they were interested in succeeding.
But Nana Addo put his foot down.
Yeah, but he put his foot down.
And President Kufuor put his foot down.
Yeah. From where you sit, how do you see all of this playing out? As for Richard, I'm sure he knows as a matter of fact the people who would want to contest the presidential primaries for the NDC.
We are all hearing the speculation.
We are
following the
it's also hearsay.
speculation.